Ed Broadbent made it very clear whose side we were on as a party. He made it very clear that New Democrats are on the side of workers, that we need to build a Canada for workers, not a Canada for billionaires or the super rich, but a country where working class people could keep a roof over their head, food on the table, and build a good life for themselves and their kids.
Standing up to power, doing the right, just thing is never easy. I am proud of the entire NDP caucus.
I actually called him when I became leader. People gave me the idea or gave me the advice that he would be okay for me to call him and to ask for advice. I wasn't sure how it would go, how he would respond to me reaching out, but I was told that definitely call him. He'll be excited to help out. Yeah. So I first just want to give you the image. If you can try to picture, you have Ed Broadbent, third leader of the New Democratic Party, this elder statesman, and Jagmeet Singh, like me, young racialized leader, and us hanging out together probably was something that turned a bit of heads. Didn't probably seem like the most natural of folks coming together, and people might have thought it was like a formal meeting. But with me and Ed, it was a friendship, and it was based on his generosity. Ed was someone that took the question that a lot of Democrats struggle with, whether we're supposed to focus on our values or are we supposed to focus on winning more seats and trying to attain power. He answered that question very directly, and he reminded me of this regularly. We have to do both. We have to maintain our values and our principles, and we have to be in a position to make life better for working people. And that meant we had to win more seats and be in a position of power. So he really reminded me the importance of that we've got to keep our values and fight to win so we can make life better for people. Ed was a friend, and he was also my mentor. He was someone that I could count on for help. Anytime I wanted advice, I could call him up, and I knew that he would be there for me. And his generosity is something that to this day, I'm so thankful that I was able to know him, and that he was so generous with his time, and he was so helpful. Anytime I needed something, he was there for me, and I'll always be so thankful to him for that. On a personal note, something that I would say about him a lot, and so whenever we would go to an event, we often went to events together, or were in the same events. And if I was speaking at that event, we had an inside joke that anytime I would speak and I knew he was in the crowd, I would point him out and say to folks, hey, Ed Broadbent's in the crowd, everybody, give him a round of applause. And then I would say, Ed's who I want to be when I grow up. And then Ed would laugh every time I said that, as if it was the first time I came up with this kind of corny joke. And it wasn't a joke though. I would say that because Ed to me is an incredible representation of what one should do with one's life. He dedicated his life to making life better for people. He served in Parliament as a member of Parliament. He was a leader. And then after leaving politics, he came back to run again under another leader, under Jack Layton, represented people again, and then retired from politics. And then even in retirement, started a progressive institute that continues to be a voice for working people. So the idea that he never stopped giving back, he never stopped fighting for people, he never stopped being a voice for the working class, that to me is such an incredible example of living a good life, a life well lived. And while I'm sad to lose a friend, I'm sad to lose a mentor, I celebrate his life, a well-lived life where he continued to fight for people until his last days. I guess I think about when we spent time together, when we would walk around the city, walk around Toronto or walk around Ottawa, people would come up to him and would say, thank you for fighting for me. Thank you, Ed, for everything you've done. He had an impact, even though he's been out of politics for decades. He'd been out of politics for decades. People still remembered him for his time, for fighting for them, for standing up for them. And I think there's something about the fact that he was known as Honest Ed. What he did for politics was he showed you can be real, authentic, someone that cares about people and that wants to build a better Canada for working people. He connected to people in a really special way and made people feel seen and made people feel heard, and people knew he was fighting for them. I think that's what people walk away with, that he was someone that had their back, and to this day people remember him for that. I would say thank you. I would have loved to be able to tell Ed, thank you so much for all the support you gave me as a young leader, I don't know if he even realized how helpful he was, how important he was to me. Thank you for what he did for our movement, for the progressive movement, for the New Democratic Party, for our movement. Thank you. Thank you for everything you've done for our country. And I would let Ed know that he's still who I want to be when I grow up.
If you are a New Democrat today, it's because you too are asking the big questions about our political and economic system. You too feel within your bones the need to fight for justice and equality.